Hey, welcome to this episode of the Movement Mentality Podcast. Today, I'm going to be talking about my journey of body image, self-image, body changes, going from not a parent to a parent, not a mom to a mom, all the things. Thanks for being here. So I just hopped on really quick because I noticed that what I was wearing accentuated parts of my body that I am not necessarily comfortable with. And it really made me think back to what's been happening over the years and how much healing and growth I've undergone, and journaling and talking to people and therapy. And I do think it's super important to share where we come from. So most people don't know this, but because most of my popularity, I don't know what to call it. Most of I'll say my Instagram growth has been in the last 4 years, which oddly has been the 4 years of my life where I'm the most uncomfortable with my body and the most postpartum and the most vulnerable, and just don't feel like I look that attractive, frankly. And it happens to be the most successful 4 years in my business that I've ever had. Parenthood and becoming a mom has been the best thing for my life, my family, my business, my marriage, for everything. It's really wild. And it's interesting that things that I stand for are authenticity, vulnerability, rawness, growth, down to earthness, and non-intimidating approaches to things. So I have been measuring my body for literally as long as I can remember. Okay, so I have a whole routine: waist, belly button, hips, arm, thigh. Been doing it for as long as I can remember. And I didn't know it was an odd thing to do until 4 years ago. I was sitting with a girlfriend on the couch and I said, my pelvis has widened 2.5 inches since I got pregnant. And isn't that crazy? And my friend paused and she looked at me and she said, "How do you know that?" And I said, "Well, because I know." She's like, "Well, how do you know it's 2.5 inches?" And I was like, "Well, because I measure it." You don't know how wide your pelvis is? She was like, "No, that's not normal." And I was like, "Really?" Had no idea, because I had been doing it for so long, since I was at least in high school, right? Bare minimum in high school. And I'm 39 now. 20 years. So 20 plus years, actually. Had no idea it was abnormal. Like, I have been doing these measurements for so long. So that was my first sign of maybe that's not the healthiest relationship. So then I become a mom, and my first baby, I'm in the kitchen measuring my waist with this very measuring tape right here. And I look to my right, and my little baby is walking her little wobbly, I just learned to walk. She was maybe a year old. She started walking at like 9 months. She was like 1 year old. She comes down the hallway, turns a left into the kitchen, and she saw me measuring my body. And I dropped the tape on the floor, right? Like that feeling where you've just been caught. And I've never been a role model for a child before, so this has never occurred to me as odd. And so I drop it and I'm like, "Hi, sweetie," and like, okay, distract. And ever since that moment, I realized, like, that can never happen again. My girls
I have 2 girls. They're 4 and 2 right now. My girls cannot see me do that. They cannot see that. Why does mommy think that's important? What is she doing? Why is that tape around her waist? And I just never had anything mirror back to me that it was a thing until my girlfriend said that. And then I had a baby and the baby saw me. And it was just one of those moments where it's just like I hadn't had anything to reflect back at me up until this point, and things needed to change. I needed to change this relationship. It didn't happen overnight. I did continue to measure through my first postpartum journey. Not as frequent though, okay? Not as frequent. So this is like 2020. Okay, I get pregnant again. I have another baby. And by this time, my best friend said, okay, why don't you put a picture of the girls in your iPhone notes where you keep your measurements so that when you go to write down the circumferences of your body parts, you see those girls and you don't do it, right? And I was like, okay. So that was a huge, helpful, small thing I did where I put a picture of them in my iPhone notes so that when I go to do it, I see them and realize this is not important. Do not do this, right? And I struggled with this for 20 plus years. And right now, as I'm recording this, it's the day before Thanksgiving, November 2024. And in July, August, September, October, November, so 4 months ago, it was one of the biggest accomplishments of my life. I opened the drawer, I saw the tape, and for the first time in my life, I looked at it, I took a breath, and I did not bring it towards my body. I stared at it and I put it back for the first time in my life. And it was something I didn't know I was going to do. I didn't plan on it. I didn't say the next time you see that. It just happened. And it was the first time I was like, I win this time. You don't win. You lose. I win. I put that tape back in the drawer and closed it for the first time in my life. Up until July 2024, if I see the tape, like it's all rolled up all nice in the drawer, if I see it, it means measure. It is a trigger, like a drug, right? Like I see it and I just bring it to the body and start going. Almost like I don't even have any control over it. It just happens, okay? So for me to win in that moment was monumental, okay? Whew, I didn't know you could go so deep in 8 minutes. Why this is important, okay, is because up until I was 35 years old, okay, 4 years ago, I was very, very, very tiny. But I didn't know it. I was like a size 2 to 4, sometimes a 0. I'd walk around San Diego in a sports bra and little tiny booty shorts, just living my life. And I didn't think a thing of it because I was just so tiny. I could wear whatever I wanted. I wore low plunged outfits because I had a really small chest. It's like super cute. And I didn't know what I had at that time because I'd never been big, right? So then with my first pregnancy, I get placenta previa. I'm medically restricted from exercise. I gain 50 pounds and I'm 4'11". That's a lot for someone who's 4'11". Okay. I was super depressed because I wasn't allowed to move my body because it might harm the baby. So I started eating ice cream every night, which I don't do dairy or sugar really. So yay. Was super depressed. I got acne all over my chest, my jawline, my forehead. I mean, my back. It was not okay, right? It wasn't attractive, first of all, but my body was like screaming for help. I don't get pimples, like you guys can see, like there's not much going on here. So for me to have like full-blown acne because I was eating literally a pint of ice cream every day for like a year, I was so depressed. Like, tell a mover she's not allowed to move. Okay, so dealing with the morphing of a body that I don't know, on top of the size of my legs, my waist, my arms, my face, I had huge breasts. And before that moment, I was like a B cup, no big deal, teeny tiny waist, teeny tiny boobs, right? And then I become pregnant and I was like a transformer. I was like, poof, 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 and my breast got super big. The size of my areolas changed. The color of my nipples changed. Literally, I go into the bathroom one day and I was like, how did that happen? And then you start to realize, like, okay, I'm half Filipino. There's like some DNA pigmentation, ancestral thing going on. Like, basically, they were just darker than I was used to, right? Like, I normally have like a pink or like brownish, purpley, blackish. Anyways, I was just, huh? And then I had the linea negra on my body from pubic bone to belly button, which again wasn't prepared for. And that actually goes away. And then it came back with my second baby. The whole thing is just wild. So it is just crazy. I've done every diet. I was gluten and dairy free for 10 years, like keto, paleo, carb loading. Like, I've done all the things. I've done all the things. And as I said, why I'm hopping on today is because I was getting dressed. I'm wearing this like one piece thing that doesn't really like flatter all the parts of me that I would like. And I was kind of just thinking, you know what? Like, I'm turning 40. Like, isn't it just time to just be okay with the body I've been given? Why do I care if my stomach is flat or not? Where did this come from? It's completely made up. And I do have like psychological damage from being a dancer, right? I remember this thing we had to do where we stood in a line, and it was called the what was it called? The jiggle test, something like jiggle. And we stood in a line and your arms go up and you jump up and down in a sports bra and shorts. And if your tummy jiggled, you were benched for that game and didn't get to perform. Super healthy. And my dance director used to always say, all right, you heifers, lay off the Cheetos. And first of all, I didn't even eat Cheetos, but you get it. So would I trade it for anything? Absolutely not. I am so grateful to be a dancer. Every single sport has its consequences, right? If you're going to go into football, you have those consequences. You want to do rugby, there are consequences. You want to be a modern barefoot dancer, consequences. You want to be a dancer, consequences. If I have to choose the spectrum of like marathon runner, Olympic weightlifter, martial arts gymnast, and dancers, I'm going to go in the middle and I'm going to pick it and I will accept those consequences. So I have some self-image, body image issues. Who doesn't? But today, what I want to share with you is the sooner you accept this beautiful gift you've been given, the happier you'll be. Because have you ever met someone who just radiates ooey gooey deliciousness and you're just like, I want more of this person? You don't sit there and go like, I wonder what size pants she's wearing. It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. I invite you to take on this new era of I am who I am. This is the body I've been given. It's so beautiful and it's doing an amazing job. And the size of your clothes has no relation to your worth on this planet. And if anyone has any problem with that, they are not a part of your tribe. They are not. Or someone that makes you feel weird or bad about it. What? You're not a magnet to someone because of how they look or what size their clothes are or what kind of car they drive or what kind of house they have. You're not. What matters is the energy that you bring to the space before you even open your mouth. I love you. I invite you to come on this journey of healing with me. Let's end this podcast with a couple affirmations that I'm just going to make up on the spot. Inhale, lengthen your body on the exhale. Thank you for this body. I'm so grateful for this body in this moment. The body I used to have served me until it didn't. There's no should or could or wish about it. This body from here on out is the body I choose. It's wonderful. It's flawed. The time is now. I deserve it. Body, I love you. Thank you for all that you've done for me, continue to do for me, and will continue to do for me. I am so grateful for everything that you do. I was going to say lung in my ears, the air in my lungs, the blood and oxygen flowing through my body, my freckles, my stretch marks, my cellulite, my uneven feet, my Bell's palsy, my asymmetries are a unique expression of God. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. I love you, and I'll see you next time.